Cool, man. What's up, big dog?
Not much, man. It's a crazy evening.
Yeah, doing some soccer practice, freezing your balls off.
Yeah, I found a big old hill and I went and laid down on it and watched them practice.
Nice, man. Man, my wife and I moved here from Wyoming about a little over 2 years ago, and I tell you
Yeah,
what, that weather doesn't have anything on this weather here. This weather is insane.
yeah, it's the highs and lows and everything in between's kind of it's nonstop craziness.
Like we get like the snow. We get a lot of snow, like 120 inches of every winter. So a lot of snow. That's like I pushed snow for 10 years, man, in the winter just to make a living. So
Man, that's one thing that I never missed with snow. I like well, I never really had it growing up here, but man, I love it in for about a day or two, and then
yep.
I'm like, that's enough.
For sure, man. I'm getting too old to be falling down like that, man.
Yeah, I that last little ice storm we had, man, we were uh, we were at a party. A few of us went outside to go get more beverages out of the truck to bring them back in, and it was like black ice in a big parking lot,
Oh no.
and I fell down, and I just was thinking of all the times I laughed at everybody, and
Right.
I ate it. And it was one of those where I had to lay there for a second and kind of wiggle everything to make sure everything worked.
Right.
Oh
Yeah, that's a
man.
lot of man falling down right there.
Yeah. I was like, oh, everybody's like, you okay? I was like, I don't know yet. Like, you know what? I think we're gonna make it.
Nice, man. Well, I appreciate you coming, stopping by and speaking with me for a little bit. And you BoomerCast. I like to connect former players, with fans, and a lot of fans don't really know the history of OU. They've been spoiled the last 20 years, and um, they don't know too much about the dark. They call it the dark decade, like dark decade or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's just it's cool too. Like um, the Sooners, they really helped me like almost grow as a kid because my daddy worked a lot, and when he wasn't around, I didn't really have anybody else, and just watching the way they would compete, week in, week out, and with like 14 scholarships, like that's insane, man. And then you guys took over from 2000 on, and set the bar high, man, and it was great. Awesome to watch you guys play as a team, man.
Yeah, that was that 2000 recruiting class was special. I mean, we had a few guys that kind of fizzled out and didn't work out for sure, but we had a lot of Oklahoma guys that took a lot of pride in Oklahoma football, and it was a great thing to be a part of being with it, building it back. After the dark decade, we, I
Right.
always was just like, man, the '90s, because like every other decade, you refer to it by some bowl game or a reference to a championship or a series of conference championships, and then there was the '90s,
Yeah.
and it was like, but I still watched everything. I mean, Kale. I loved watching Kale when I was younger,
Mm.
and then he was the main coach coming out to Weatherford and recruiting me from OU. So that was
Oh,
that
nice.
was cool. Yeah, I always enjoyed it messing with Coach, so that was fun.
Bet it was, man. And Cal Gunn, do you want to talk about an OG at OU football? He's been OU
Oh
football for 30 years, man.
yeah,
40,
I
going
think
on
he's
30, 40 years.
been there since he graduated high school, pretty much, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He hasn't went anywhere, man. That's
Yeah, that's awesome, man. He's hell, even when he's done coaching, he'll probably be the next Murph. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
he's always there.
yeah. It's kind of surprising, like he hasn't really put his name in the hat for the head coaching job. I don't think he has. I think he's good with just running the offense. And did you ever see that when you were around Cal? Do you think he could be at HC somewhere? Or, some guys aren't.
I
They can't
I
really do both.
definitely I mean it was early in his career, all the coaches, it was kind of early in their career. So we all kind of got to grow together, so to
Mm.
speak. A lot of us. There was very few that had a whole lot of experience. They were all in their late 20s, early 30s. It seemed like, with the exception of like maybe Coach Hayes was probably, well, no, he played with Bob, so they were all the same age. So that was a cool group of guys, man. There was a lot of cohesiveness, a lot of young, hungry coaches on that staff, and they really instilled that into us, along with everything Schmitty instills to you. That's a whole a whole nother animal. But man, it was great. I really loved the time I was there and the people I was there with, and now I'm realizing how special those people were, because it's coming full circle and those people are being put in charge of kind of keeping this thing together and taking it forward to the next step. And they kind of went back to the same well that we all were drinking from then. So that makes it even more special in my eyes. So I'm really excited about what's to come.
Well, you said cohesiveness. That's probably the biggest component of a championship squad. Is like you all have to be together as one unit. Because I don't,
Right.
I tell you right now, a strong unit will beat any talent in the world. If that team's not
Right.
talented together, their 2000 team was perfect example, man.
Yeah, because I mean, we had 90 guys on that team, and that whole 5 years I was there, we had some great teams. I think we lost 7 games in those 5 years, and played for three national championships in those 5 years. And the same thing on every one of those teams. Everybody was pretty close. I mean, there was a few guys had an indifference with one another, but for the most part, everybody got along. And I mean, I'm not. I mean, there was a few parties that everybody was there, but everybody kind of, eventually kind of had their groups, but it wasn't like black and white groups so
Mhm.
much. I mean, everybody was pretty cool with each other. And if you saw somebody at a party and maybe somebody wasn't getting along with whatever group they had showed up with, I mean, everybody came together. It was
Mm.
it was about the team in the long run, and the goal more than it was whatever was going on there. So it yeah, it was a special time to be a part of that.
Well, look, Torrence Marshall said it best that before coin flip, Orange Bowl came for our boys trophy, man. And that dude's
Yeah,
like,
that
yeah, that other guy's like, no, no. He's like, all right, we'll see. That was good
yeah, that
stuff,
was
man. That
that
was the
was one
game.
dude that, man, Torrance was a dude.
I
He
bet. I bet.
nobody jacked with Torrance on that team.
I bet,
He
man.
was I remember blocking him in practice a few times, and he brought it, and man, it was just two trains colliding. I was like, damn, okay.
Nice.
That was first time I hit Torrance in a practice was when I realized that somebody that was smaller than me could hit as hard as I
Oh, nice.
could.
Yeah, that's one of those. Oh,
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, this guy's
nice,
different.
nice, man. That's something OU's been lacking, like at least the last 3 4 years. That physicality, man. It's like up
Yeah, I
front.
mean,
It's
we've
insane.
we've just had a lot of I mean, we've brought some decent talent in.
Hmm.
We've had some good guys that, I mean, they played at OU and won a lot of games. So we
Right.
obviously had some good dudes, but I think we had a lot of tweeners out there because
Mm.
we didn't have, and it started with, we didn't have the big guys up front. And when you don't have the big guys to do the big guy things, you're starting to take the next size guy and stuff him into that spot. And you just keep stealing from one group to
Right.
help another group. And then you basically end up with a bunch of tweeners out there.
Right. Yeah.
And, they started cleaning it up in the back end and bringing in bigger DBs, which is great. That's going to help everybody with the length and the size and everything else they have, because maybe they don't have a 40-inch vertical, but if he's 6'3" and he's got long arms, he doesn't need a 40-inch vertical.
Right.
So it all adds up. You got to be smart with it. And they started to do a couple of things right with the last class, but I don't think that staff was capable of bringing in the type of animal that you need up front. And we're already starting to see immediately, we started to see a different kind of thing happen. Not with the recruits that were coming in, with the guys that we already had there. When they unleashed those guys and let them go play football, which is what Perrion Winfrey and those guys do, we saw a change, a big change, and it was immediate. So, and I mean, of course, those guys were turning it on a little bit because that was their time to shine and make their money, but they were trying to win a national championship that year. At the beginning of it, that was the goal. So you don't think they were trying like that the whole year?
Yeah.
Hey, bud. That's my son.
Can I get a Boomer Center?
You give him my horns down?
Yeah, that's what's
there
up.
You go. Good job, buddy.
Nice, man.
Sooners.
That's right, baby.
Catch up with you.
Yeah, I tell you that like Lincoln Riley, I mean, I don't really say I don't wish any bad on him, and I hope he doesn't find a lot of success, and I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. I think he handled the situation really, really, really messed up, because like he at least owes the kids an explanation, because excuse me, he didn't make that decision overnight. I mean, in 3 hours, like, you don't make that rash of a decision, And
no, I mean,
wrong.
You don't make that decision that fast unless there's a reason why. So there's been a lot of talks on, side discussions and rumors and everything else. And I don't know if there's any truth to it. I mean, I've heard from reliable sources that there is, and I've heard from reliable sources that there isn't. So
kind of makes sense, though. It makes sense.
Yeah. And it's it would make a little sense if there was a little rhyme or reason as to why that was happening.
Right.
But the fact that it happened that fast and that quick, I think somebody either had a foot out the door the whole year, or an ultimatum was given in a very short period of time.
Right.
That's the only two things that would really jive with anything that happened.
And it all boils down to having shit for integrity. I mean, excuse my language, but I mean, as a coach, you're supposed to take accountability for everything you do, right or wrong. And that's what Coach Venables is changing. He expects more out of you than anybody else, or himself.
Yeah, and that's and they give it to you more than anybody else, and it's infectious. And that's the thing, you keep hearing these players say more than anything. I said it on Sam's podcast the other day. They care.
Yep.
You hear the word care come out of anybody's mouth more than anything.
Yeah.
It's not hustle and grind or whatever the slogan this period is. It's people care. He cares. They care. We feel we feel it now. But they're also working harder than they've ever worked, and they're being put through a harder gauntlet than they've ever gone through before at the same time. And that is what this group can do. They bring it every day, and they expect the most out of it every day, and that's what they get. That becomes the new standard.
Yeah, they're gonna learn to fall in love with the grind again, man. Like, from when they were kids to high school, like, they had to grind it out to get to the Power 5 schools like OU, and then the staff at OU, they got to kick it down a notch, and they probably lost sight of the grind, and now they found it again, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a difference in strength coaches, and I get there's different body types, and some people are just, Adrian Peterson's always going to look the way he looks. It's just fortunate for our generation that we got to see him put all of it together. The God-given talent that he was given, plus his freakish, work ethic.
He was something
He was
else,
just
man.
he was an animal, and it's awesome to see guys like that. But these guys don't even, the workout and their grind is so different from
Oh
how
yeah.
it was whenever we did it. It was so much more physical and more Olympic style free weight lifts. And when I left OU, I changed my workout a lot, and for a good reason. I was too stiff, and I was
Oh
plenty
yeah.
strong enough. I didn't need. I was one of the strongest guys, if not the strongest guy, the day I showed up on the Chargers team and every team I
Nice.
played for. I didn't need that. And what Schmitty instilled in us with the with our endurance, basically.
Hmm.
He took that to a whole new level, and so we were ready for the next level, but I think we beat ourselves up almost too much
Yeah.
at some points, because we left it all out there every day, and we didn't take any shortcuts. We did it old school. And so when I got to the next level, I started mixing like yoga and things like that in, the Pilates type of stuff. I walk in and you see like the typical giant Russian guy over here just putting all the weight on the bars over here and doing squat and bench, going back and forth, and the giant Samoans doing the same thing. And then you see guys like LaDainian Tomlinson over here and Drew Brees over here with like dumbbells on their knees on top
Right.
of a giant physio ball that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people do crunches and stuff on,
Yeah.
and they're balancing on it while they have dumbbells. And I'm like, I'm going to take a page out of those guys' book. So I go
Right.
over and start kind of mixing in a whole new deal, and it made me a whole different player. And that flexibility, because I always said you can have strength, but it's the position you have it in. If you don't have flexibility, that's one thing. But when you mix those two things together, when you have strength and flexibility, when you can drop your ass down in the basement and you have strength there, that's a whole different animal. And that's what the best guys do. They have great talent. I played with a center, Nick Hardwick, my rookie
Oh
year,
yeah. Yeah.
and he was an all pro, and Nick was every bit of 6'2.5", and he had to eat like a world champion hot dog eater every day to weigh 290. I mean, barely
Right.
weighed 290. And he went against an all-pro nose guard, Jamal Williams, every day that weighed 360 and was just
Yeah.
an animal.
Big dude.
And he could hold his own. He's playing against 400-pound NFL run stopper nose guards, and he could move them off the ball. He could hold his own because his technique was there, but he was so
Right.
flexible. But he had the strength when he got down there too to withstand everything that a 420, 30, 40-pound man's bringing when he hits you.
It's like a Creed Humphrey, man. That guy right there is Creed
Yeah,
Humphrey
and
is a ball player.
he's a freak as well, because you don't see 6'5", 330-pound centers every day either. And
Right.
he's got the technique, he's got the strength, he's got a lot of things going for him. I'm excited for his career. I hope he stays healthy and plays a long time.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody last week about we were talking about the strength and conditioning coach there at OU that left. Um it took like affected the players, like their body language and stuff, because like I went to the OU Nebraska game this last, the 50th anniversary one, and like they came out for warm-ups and they like didn't even talk to each other, they didn't push each other around, they weren't like doing drills against each other, they weren't even talking to each other. And it's like you got to interact with each other and get each other up, right? Like
There's a big difference in, like, you can do a Billy Blanks workout and look good after you do it all year long, but there's a difference between that and football.
yep.
And uh, Benny was a great guy. I met him once or twice. Great guy, amazing physical human being. I mean, looked great in front of a mirror, but I don't think what he puts together really translates as well as he wants it to the football field. Guys were looking great and lean, but guys were getting pushed around.
Yeah.
So
They were.
There's a lot to be said with what happens. I mean, Schmitty's workouts had a lot of hard like muscle mass. Like I'd always say, we put our pads on in the off season.
Right.
Because that's what you're doing. You're protecting
Yeah.
yourself. You're not just making yourself better. I mean, you got to protect all of this. That's what makes you out there, and what helps the team win. So anybody that's not looking at it like that, I mean, they're either a quarterback or they're not a football player.
Right. I mean, it's hard to argue seven Heisman trophies. Like Schmitty's responsible for 7 Heisman Trophy winners. Like that is impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. He's Schmitty told me when he was recruiting me, he had a very impressive stat that he had won a stop like everywhere except for like maybe one. I think he stopped at Oklahoma State maybe for a hot second.
Yeah,
but
Barry Sanders over there.
Won a national championship at every stop that he had been at. And he did.
Nice,
he started off at Nebraska. Went away for a little bit, came back to Nebraska, went to
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, Florida. Won natties everywhere he was at, and then they tried to pay for a natty down South Texas there, but they couldn't get that done. So I'm sure he was happy to come on back after he saw, all the high aspirations and nobody wanted to follow up with it.
I tell you, talk about a school wasting some talent, man. Them Aggies are, boy, they be getting 5-star after 5-star after 5-star, man, and they can't win nothing still, man.
No, they beat Bama every once in a while, and that's almost an accomplishment in and of itself these days.
But
aside from that, no. I mean, they haven't beat Bama and push forward to that next step to get to the SEC championship over them. And I don't know if they're. I mean, it looks like they're close to being that team, but until somebody slows Bama down on what they're doing, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to dethrone them, because now you've got the East and the West is pretty much separated. Every once in a while LSU can put it together, but everybody else isn't really contributing.
Right.
I mean, it's tough to.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked for Georgia this year. I've always kind of been a Bulldogs fan, and I like Kirby Smart, and I was pretty stoked they won national title this year, man. Like the Bulldogs.
It was nice to see somebody else win. I mean, Georgia had been getting closer and closer and closer, and that's how Clemson started off, and eventually you're going to get one when you're knocking on the door year after year, and when you're knocking on it with intentions to win it. And you're not just knocking on somebody else's door. Kind of the feeling we got a couple times there, that Baker team was really fun to watch. Man, that defense was really tough to watch, but it was it was a great team and a great time. I got to go out to that. I was fortunate enough to get to go to that Rose Bowl.
Oh wow, man!
Thanks, bud. And yeah, that was amazing. And then after the end of it, I was like, man, this is going to be a long trip out of here.
That from that point on, I was really suspect of Lincoln Riley from there. Like, I don't know. I found out the other day that he actually was responsible for a loss while they were in victory formation at East Carolina. Oh, yeah. That's hard to do.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. I just I don't wish anything bad against the man personally. I mean, I hope he has a few rough years. And he's got access to a lot of talent out there. I still don't think that defensive scheme's going to get it done. I think in the back of his mind, if he's not, he ought to be hoping that Grinch gets offered a head job somewhere at some point. But aside from that, if he can get a good DC in there, I mean, Is his offense perfect? No, but it's good enough to put some points on the board if he could get
Pac-12,
something,
yeah.
yeah, on the other side that could do some damage, and he could get somebody that can bring a physical player in there. Because there's a lot of teams in the Pac-12 he'll be able to push around, but
Yeah.
I don't know if Oregon's going through a regime change, and they're bringing in a lot of five-star guys, and they've always got a couple of guys here or there, but they're bringing in a lot of dudes up there in Oregon.
Utah be playing some tough football too, man.
Yeah, Utah plays big boy football, and that's kind of Lincoln's. That it seemed that hits him in the mouth is kind of his kryptonite.
Right.
So Utah just sets up well for him. A team like Stanford, they get that running back they can hand the ball to 35 times, they'll beat them. I mean, they get big physical guys, and they get smart football players, obviously, and for a good reason. It's a great school. But
Arizona State too, they're pretty good year in, year out here lately too.
Herm's got them going in a good direction. He's got some kids that want to play for him, and when he gets the good ones, I mean, he takes advantage of them, man. He had a really good running back, a great receiver there the last couple of years. He's had some dudes come across through there, and that's just going to build on itself over time.
Yeah, that's that Kyle Whittingham, he's a pretty interesting coach, man. Like, he's built a really, really nice culture there in Utah, and he's never left for like the bigger jobs. And it's cool to see that, guys stay at a small school like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's heading in the right direction, and he's getting close out there. So he's probably a guy that takes a lot of pride in what all he's done. I mean, there's been some great coaches there, a couple before him that kind of got Utah heading in the right direction, and he's built on that and taken it a step further. I'm excited for those boys out there. I had a good friend that lived here that was from Utah, and he moved back out there, and Utah's his team, so I kind of have a small reason to pull for him. So I always am. But it's going to be fun to see those guys. I mean, that whole Utah community kind of has that Samoan relationship, and it's fun to see them bring some big old boys that most other teams really don't have a chance to go out and recruit. So
them boys are nasty too, man, up front.
Boy, yeah, those are some big, strong, physical guys. I played with a couple, and man, they're just solid all over.
For sure. So you were in San Diego, right? You said?
Right. Yeah, I was out there in 05 and 06.
Was Leslie O'Neal still there, or was he long gone?
No, he was long gone. When I was there, I think it was my second year. Breeze's last year was my first year, and Rivers' first year of starting was the second year I was there. And the second year was when Junior Seau signed to be with a Charger, and we had a big retirement party for him on like Friday, and then Monday he signed with the Patriots.
That's crazy, man. That's wild. Yeah. Hey, how wild is Phillip Rivers to be around?
Man, it's funny, man. There's like 3 versions of Phil, man. It's like like when you're in the locker room and any like just around the facility with the guys, he's a normal dude, man. He just kind of razzes on people, and people kind of mess with him. He's a good cat. Then on the field, he's kind of the general, man. I mean, he doesn't take any shit off of anybody, and I love him for it. And he's just a fighter and a warrior. He likes to battle. And then when he gets off the field, man, he's a huge family guy. Like when he got drafted, he moved like all 20 of his damn family members out there. It was funny because you'd see him after a game, and it's like, and even after like some practices, it'd be like, hey, it's family day. And some guys would have their girlfriend or their wife, maybe a kid or two. And Phil's got like wife, 5, 6 kids, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters. And it's just like, wait, isn't he from like South Carolina or something? So yeah, they just packed up and moved the whole thing out there, man. So it was
that's good stuff, man.
Phil was an interesting cat.
You're the quarterback, that good a good solid quarterback. That's so key on a like you guys had Josh Heupel. Was
Yep.
he was a nice leader, huh? Mentally, like got everybody going, or
Yeah, he's a real smart guy. I mean, he was a football coach's son,
yeah,
and like those like head ball coaches' sons. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, especially the ones that really take to it. And
mm-hmm.
I've played with a couple of them that they played football and they were good at it, but they didn't really weren't like a student of the game, so to speak. And then I played with some guys like Heupel and Jeff Levy and guys that were just when you talk to them, they just looked at it a different way and saw it a
Right,
different way.
yeah,
They just as somebody that was raised around it their whole life. I grew up watching it, but I didn't learn football until I went to college,
okay,
and then I really kind of I was like, oh, okay. Like where I came from, there was times we still ran the option. I mean, we had big physical guys and we put our hand in the dirt.
right,
It was that
line
was
them
the
up,
time the air raid was starting to come out, and everybody thought they were crazy. But
yeah,
so I went from that straight into basically the air raid that first year, and it was night and day for me. It was so awkward just standing straight up all the time because I was so stiff and
right,
I was a big, strong, stiff guy. So that didn't really play well for me. I needed to be down in a 3-point stance and not starting in a bad position because I
right,
wasn't going to get into a good position. So
right, for sure,
I
man,
had to start lower to finish in a good spot.
yeah,
So that I was happy when Wilson showed up and Mangino and the last of that left, and we got to put our hand on the ground again and play
yeah,
football.
for sure. So you had you said you had Adrian Peterson was there when you were there?
Yeah, his freshman year, his best year was my
It
senior year.
was. It was. Dang. It was,
So yeah, we got to we got to experience that. I got to play with some good ones while I was there, man. A lot of great players on defense. And Heupel and Jay White and AD. I mean, I mean, tons of first, second round receivers. I mean, there was just
yeah.
a ton of guys. I think there was like 11 in my class that got drafted. So it was a good time.
Nice. Man, he went like 225, 3 touchdowns against Texas just that freshman year. He
Yeah,
was like a
that
man
dude
amongst
was.
boys out there, man.
Yeah, him and Quentin Griffin, man, they made
Mm.
they made it easy for you. But I mean, he was just so special. Like we had a lot of freshmen on that team his senior year, and man, I mean, I had to give props a lot to how good Q really was that year when he could have rushed for 2,000 and just didn't want to in that last game. That dude was really special that year because that line, we had some great players on that line, but we were freshmen. Like, had me on there. We had Jamal Sprinkling in there. We had Vince Carter in there,
Mm.
Frank Romero, and Davin Joseph was a true freshman that got sprinkled in a little. Well, no, Davin came the next year. Yeah, that was his senior year. So yeah, we had and we were all sophomores, and Davin was a freshman. So we had a lot of young guys on that team, and so it was. But those guys got hit in the backfield a lot. I'll say that that year, and Q made a lot of guys miss in the backfield. Hibble and not so much. He got beat up pretty good that year.
He's like a statue back there, huh?
Yeah, he man, I felt for him, man. He got a lot of criticism, but I was like, man, that dude got. I mean, there was times he got up and came back to the huddle, and I didn't think he was. I mean, in today's game, he probably wouldn't have been able to keep going a few times, and he did.
Right.
So he
Yeah.
was and kept his shit together while he did
Right.
it. So
Right.
I'll always have respect for that dude, and he's a great guy. So
Yeah, he was a hell of a ball player, man. He threw a nice ball for sure. He did.
yeah. Yeah, he was one of the underrated guys, but I mean he was kind of overshadowed by, the guy behind him that eventually took over. I mean, Jay White was special and I mean he's got a Heisman trophy to prove it.
Yeah.
So,
Serious. Man, what could have been there if he wouldn't have had those two knee injuries back to back like that,
yeah, my junior and senior year blocking would have been a lot easier if he was
man.
mobile. I know
Right.
that.
Man, he looked smooth in them all whites too when he took his knee out though. That was too
Oh
bad,
man.
man. I think you guys
Yeah,
were in
he
all whites
was.
that day.
Yeah, yeah, he was. Man, he was special. He was. I mean, he's always been a special player, but when he could run and hit that long ball,
Mm.
that was really special to see. And we got a little bit of it, and then we got a lot more of him as a pro style passer
Yeah,
there towards the end. But still, the little bit of bootlegs we did hit, I mean, he was deadly accurate on those. That was his gravy growing up.
right. He went to, was it Tuttle, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he ran a lot of option growing up. So I remember he was a year older. We'd play the eighth grade team, and then they'd put the ninth grade jersey on me and put me at defensive end just so he'd only score touchdowns from one side of the field.
Nice, man. And you played for Weatherford, was it?
Yeah,
Nice.
yep.
Did you guys win any state titles there?
Yeah, we played my freshman year. We lost to Clinton in the state title game, and then my senior year we beat Fort Goodson in the state title game. So
Oh,
we
nice.
took Teddy's team out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where O'Layman's from, huh?
Yeah, and then the next year he was my roommate in college, so don't think you didn't hear about
Nice.
it every
Oh, I bet. I bet so, man. That's the linebackers we got now. They're kind of reminiscent of them older guys. They seem like real physical guys, man.
Yeah,
It's gonna,
they're BV guys for sure, and that's the thing about Venables, man. He brings guys in that are physical guys that aren't afraid to stick their head in there, but they've got to be smart guys too, because he
Mhm.
doesn't bring dummies in. I mean, you've got to be a football guy to pick up on that, and that's why, well, like we had guys go to come here and then think about going somewhere else, and then when they meet him, then they're like, oh yeah, and they turn around and come back. Because when you realize what type of guy he is, and not just how much his love for the game, but his passion for it,
Yeah.
and it's there every day, all the time, and that's just the way he is.
That's what Rufus Alexander actually said that when I talked to him. He was going to be a Longhorn. He said originally he was going to be a Texas Longhorn, but Coach Venables challenged him. Um, I don't know what the challenge was, but he challenged him, and Alexander accepted it. And I guess the rest is history, man. So
Yeah,
that's a good guy right there, old Rufus Alexander, man. It's really,
yeah,
really,
I love Rufus. It
man. I
was
tell
I
you
wish I
what,
would have got to play a little longer with Rufus. I only got a couple years with him, but he was a great player, man. He was smart. He was a very
yeah.
smart player. He was in the right spot a lot, and he wasn't like a Torrence Marshall. He wasn't like a giant physical
Mhm.
guy. But man, he was smart and he could hit. He could damn sure hit.
Yeah. Just I remember when he came in his freshman year. I might have been the third game or something, but when he came in, I took notice right away, man. He was just wrecking dudes' lives, man. For
Yeah, yeah. He
sure.
he played with some reckless abandonment. He was fun to watch.
Yeah, he was. And I like they got this linebacker. Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but he reminds me a lot of Curtis Lawton. He's coming in this year, I think it was. Maybe it's next year, but Curtis Lawton was a stud, man.
Yeah, when the day Curtis showed up, you could just tell that you were like, that's what a middle linebacker looks like right there, man. When you get a 6'2", 6'3", 250 guy,
Yeah.
260 guy, you're like, okay, that's what a Mike looks like, and we haven't had that in a long time here. We got some guys that are capable of carrying that size, and I think now we got the right guy to put it on them. And I'm excited to see. I mean, BV's brought a few in, and we had a couple here. I mean, people who I, I think people are starting to sleep on some guys like Stutzman. I'm curious to see how he comes along. I mean, we've got some new guys coming in that are freaks. So I mean,
Ethan Downs is gonna have a huge year.
yeah, I love some Easy E, man. He's my
Easy E,
Weatherford boy.
nice, nice,
Got to
nice.
give a shout out to him. He's just a good, just always laid back, even kill guy until you get
Right.
them on the field. Then
Right.
they can deal with them.
It's that switch, man. It's you gotta I coached little league football in Wyoming, and I actually got the luxury of coaching one kid that he knew how to turn that switch on and off, mentally. Like before the game
Yep.
he'd be joking around and whatever, and then but once that chin strap got strapped, it's a whole different beast, man. It was cool.
Is I remember in high school we had the three buses. You had the offense bus, the defense bus, and then the third bus.
Oh, nice.
And whenever we'd ride to the games, I'd always sit on the third bus because I couldn't take sitting still and quiet and that serious for that period. I like this is a beast I'm keeping caged up, and I got to enjoy it. And then when we get out there, then I'm gonna let it out,
All
and
right.
then we got to put it back. Like I can't. Like if I sat on a bus that long, I'd explode before I got there. Like I
Right.
couldn't. So
Yeah.
like I went and hung out with all the guys that were backups and everything else, and I'm like, we'll hang out back here and we'll get there, and when we get there, then we'll do the thing. But
Oh yeah.
in college, you didn't really have that luxury. I mean, it was Bob's ship was tight, man. So it was like, here's your offensive guys, here's your defensive guys, but there were so many guys on that team that you kind of could find the groups there, the guys that are way more serious, the guys that are, can listen to music and kind of hang out up until closer to game time. Some guys need to be like that all day. Some guys kind of start the day before. Everybody's different in the way they kind of get their mind right to go out there and do it. And I was like, I like to show up earlier than most because it's like a whole kind of thing that I went through.
Yep.
I get there, I like to get there like 3 hours before a game. And the first hour, I just kind of chill, relax, go out, maybe run a couple sprints or something, get loose, and then kind of start easing into getting all that stuff on. And then about 90 minutes out, just kind of start turning it up a little bit. And then, by the time you're ready to go out and do warm ups and stuff, it's on. So,
For sure, man. For sure, bud. Like it's crazy, man. I'm just thinking about getting ready for a game. I don't know. It's like it's a different world, like you said, man. From game to before game time and after game time.
yeah, because I was, some guys are quiet when they're getting ready all day. And then when it gets closer to game time, they get louder and louder and louder. I was the opposite. Like I was louder at the beginning of the day, and the more quiet I got, the more ready I was getting. And then when the ball gets kicked and the whistle blows, it is what it is at that point. Whatever said and stays out there. So
Yeah, it's like I think I can't remember who it was. Somebody was telling me about oh, it was Jarrell Jackson. I was asking him because he talked a lot of smack, and it's like, so do you like talk smack? Like you don't really talk smack if you're beating a dude all day, right? Like you really can't talk too much if you're getting beat up.
no, I was more of I like to fuck with people. So I
Nice, dude.
wasn't if I had a talker over there, I'd talk to him a little, but I was more of I like to shut the talkers up.
Oh
So
yeah,
I like to find the guys that like to talk and like to cheap shot people, and I like to cheap shot them,
nice.
and I like to listen to them talk. And I wasn't the guy that was going to have a whole lot to say, so I'd usually be the one like blowing them a kiss and fucking with them, and so I
Nice,
like
man.
to get them off their game, get them to where they go from talking to quiet because they're so mad that get them to
Right.
start fucking up.
That's when the matter takes over the mind.
Yeah, I always just called it the mind fuck. So
Nice.
you just gotta get inside there. It's like when you're playing golf with a better golfer. I mean, you got
Right.
to mind fuck them a little bit because it's the only way you're going to get it back.
For sure, man. For sure. Um, are you there still?
Yeah.
Okay, your screen just went stopped for a second.
All right. Yeah, yours froze on my end, but I can still hear you.
All right. Well, I like to end on a who, a what, and a why.
All right.
So for the who, I want to go with who is Wes Sims?
Who, man, just a, I'd say a country boy that married a city girl, a simple family guy, hard worker, take pride in whatever I do, work, job, life, um, work hard, play hard, for sure. But yeah, just I just keep it simple. I'm just a family man, an American, and that's kind of where it is now.
Eat red meat, drink beer, and scream "God bless America."
Yeah, yeah, just wake up and breathe in America and piss excellence, eat red meat, drink whiskey, and less beer, more White Claws now because I'm 40 and I got that's the one of the ways I can stay thin is to stay off the brown bottles. So,
Nice.
just try to thin it out a little bit, find little more balance to be with the family in this day and age. Now that the kids are getting old enough, sports and everything are starting. As you found out earlier, sometimes I don't know when practice is or
Right.
who's taking which kid to what practice. So
Heck
it's
yeah.
a fun time.
Nice, man. I can't drink whiskey no more. Last time I had some whiskey, I was drinking Crown and water, and I ended up calling out the whole titty bar, and these four guys came out and whooped me up pretty good. I was like, no more
Yeah,
whiskey for this guy.
yeah, it's definitely in moderation now because if I'm not having to come home to the kids, I'm getting woken up by them but the next morning.
All
So
right, for sure,
yeah,
man.
it's definitely not as much as it was back then.
Hell yeah. So, what is your definition of success?
I think somebody that can sleep good at night, knowing that they've provided for their family and, you know, all bills are paid, family's paid for, happy with their life and their wife. I think that's the definition of it.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. So like I could talk to a group of 10 10 athletes and then a group of 10 non-athletes, and I bet 8 of the 10 athletes would say that answer right there, man. And the other ones would say love. Like, I don't know, it's a weird observation, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh
But
yeah.
so and then for the why the game of football? Like,
Um, I think, well, I remember that was my first love as a sport. I remember watching the '85 Bears and Walter Payton and the Fridge and the Boz. That was kind of the first couple of games I ever remembered seeing, and still to this day, polarizing players. And those were the first ones that I ever remembered seeing when I was 4 or 5. So, growing up and seeing the Sooners and Barry and that whole mantra, and then just kind of going through the '90s, and then when my body kind of came to fruition and kind of figured out this was going to be the calling, then started taking a little more pride in football and everything. Um, Went through a lot of crazy stuff in high school, and that was kind of my way to take out my anger and frustrations on everything and everyone was to get out there and just hit people. So after going through all that and kind of having the gift that was given to me, and then seeing the OU thing, all the things I went through, wanting to stay close to mom, and OU was always number one on my list, and I had the new coaches and everything. That was Bob's first year coming in, was my senior year, so
nice.
just wanted to make sure everything was cool there, and they made it pretty clear pretty quick that they'd still love to have me. So that was good to know right off the bat. And then by the time my senior year got there, I was done with it. I'd started getting recruited before I even got into high school, and by the time I was a senior, I was like, this is enough. like, so I recruited, or I went up Mom and I drove up there, went into Bob's office, and committed to him
Nice.
like the week before football started, and just told everybody else no, done with it till after the season was over, pretty much. And then
Nice.
there was still quite a few coming by and calling and whatever, but I just told them, had to give them the old respect my decision deal,
All
and
right. Right. Hell yeah.
that made it work out. So it was a good thing. It was my release and kind of my calling. I played some other sports that I really liked. Had a chance to do something in shot and disc and track. Uh, Loved playing soccer growing up, and they took me away from that and threw me in track. And yeah, loved it. Baseball was fun, but that wasn't really my deal. I played with went to high school with a lot of great baseball players, and they, you know, that was their deal. So, all the other sports were up for grabs.
Hell yeah. Nice. The game of football. I love the game of football. My father, he's no longer with us, but he taught me a lot about the game and like the relationships you build from the game and how it can be like a good foundation for like a kid to like learn values and morals and just be able to trust your fellow man. It's just like in life, trusting your coworker or your wife to pick you up when you're not doing your job mentally, and I don't know, just discipline and focus, all that good stuff, that ensures success in life. Brought to me by
Yes,
football.
there's a lot of easy and hard things in life, and I think you can look at it a couple of ways, but the greater scheme of it is being able to put all of your trust into another human being.
Yep, that's
And
it, man.
and so and football's special because you're putting all of you, your hopes, your trust, everything into 10 other people at the same time on any given play, and it may not be the exact same 10 other guys. And when you get to a point when you can trust all of those other guys and you know their strengths and their weaknesses and where they're going to be around you and on the football field, and you know that you can rely on them to be there regardless of who you're playing or what weather it is or whatever. And that's the type of things that Schmitty and BV will put into these guys. And then you achieve your goals, or you lose your block, but you know that you had help on the inside and you lost it to the inside and he was there. Things like that. I mean, it just grows on itself, and that's the teams that you see every year. Kind of like you had the Chanticleers out there last year, that they just didn't know how to lose, and that was just a team that had a lot of trust. And when you got guys that trust each other and know each other and love each other like a family, then that's a team that's going to be tough to beat regardless of the talent level.
Yep. And it's like the stars, I know stars matter, but only to a certain point. I don't think you need a team full of 5 stars to win a national title. You got to have the right coaches.
No, and I mean it gets proven all the time. You see like when App State went up and beat Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet App State didn't have any 5-star guys.
No.
I bet Michigan put a lot more guys in the NFL, that year,
Right.
year before, the next, every other year than App State does. So,
Yeah.
you see that happen. The Boise OU game. I mean,
No.
you see them happen, and sometimes in big moments, sometimes not. I mean, it sucks to bring those things up, but it happens.
It was greatness,
I mean,
man. It was greatness.
just a couple years ago, we saw Army come in and just whoop both sides of our ass for 4, 5, 9 hours. It felt like that.
I know, yeah.
And, you see it every day. It doesn't matter when you got a team that has a coach that can bring them together and put the right game plan together and instill that into those players, and everybody's on board with it. And it's got to be the right game plan. You see some teams that seem like they're ready and everything, and they go in, and that game plan is not what it, it's not the right one. You see a team come in and put it together like an Army, or a team like a Boise that had a chance and ties it up late and then has a chance at the end, and same with Army, a team that can just stay in it, do everything right, and eventually just beat you at the game of football. They're just smarter, and not that they're more physical and just, beat you, but sometimes they played the game better. They have a better team, and you may have 11 better athletes, but they've got a better football team. And so, it doesn't matter if you have 11 guys out there that can bench 500 pounds and run a 4.4 if they can't play football and they can't play together.
Yeah, it's all about getting the most out of your players. Like that's what's so great about Tom Brady. Like, people can say what they want about him, but he gets the most out of everybody around him. Like, he knows how to tap everybody's potential. And I don't know. It's like Teddy Lehman said. I think it was Cliff Kingsbury coaches like him, the air raid coaches. Are there like have expiration dates, like Lincoln Riley? Because like they don't know how to change it up. They don't, like, in mid game, if something happens and they're figured out, they're just fucked because they don't have any other offense or any other thoughts.
100%. I mean, anytime you get a new scheme or a gimmick or whatever it is, like Lincoln's deal is a scheme that was new, and anytime it hits a new conference or a new group of people, it's going to catch them off guard for a couple of years or at least a year. Just like anytime you get a really good running quarterback, like somebody like a Lamar, they're going to come in and have a really great year, and then they're going to have a big drop off because people are going to adjust to it. And it's a matter of if they can adjust ahead of it. So you got to be, the first year you come in and you're a step ahead already, and then the second year you got to be 2 steps ahead because everybody else just works on you all year. So it's a constant struggle with it. But yeah, I mean, once you get teams that figure out, the air raid team, I mean, everybody kind of knows the scheme that it takes. I mean, you got to come out, hit them in the mouth, slow the game down, run the football, eat up the clock. I mean, there's a blueprint for it now. Before, people really didn't know what to do, and until he can get a defense that as good as that offense, we've seen defenses win championships, and we've seen offenses try. So you got to have a defense.
Every time I think of Lincoln Riley's offense, I just think of 7-on-7, like flag football. I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit on the dude or anything, but it just seems like he's a finesse guy, and he should be at one of these football camps or something as a 7-on-7 coach.
I mean, everybody loves Coach Leach, and Coach Leach is great, man. I love watching Coach Leach's interviews. He's hilarious. But
for sure,
how many championships does Coach Leach have?
Exactly. Yeah.
How many did Lincoln have before he was handed the keys to OU? I mean, now he's got to go build a team up. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks he's going to get bitch slapped with the truth.
No, he's going to. I guarantee.
There's also a part that knows it's like, if he went to like Florida State, he's already going to have some 5-star guys on his roster, and he's going to be in a weak conference. All you got to do is make a splash. You know what I mean? It's not like you really have to, go win the damn SEC or anything. It's a different animal where he's at and what he's going to be going through. And like we just sat here and talked about it, there's a handful of teams that he's going to have to worry about. Now there's a whole other handful of teams that he's going to have to worry about, as in all of them, because everybody knows every other team on that schedule.
Yeah.
Some teams are going to have to put in a little extra work for Oregon because there was a little bit of a change. But everybody else is just going to be watching OU film.
No, right.
They got the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. So now all they got to do is scout out these athletes, and they've got the scheme for it. These guys are going to slant here and here. So
yeah,
you run it one way 3 times, one of them's going to break because they're going to slant the other fucking way.
right? No shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's oh, I forgot now. I forgot. My mind goes blank sometimes, man. You know, got that old timers. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, Wes. But man, I really appreciate your time, man. It was a blast talking with you, and maybe we could do it again after the spring game or something, and get you and the old All-American on. I talked to Sam a couple weeks ago. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, Sam. Love to get on with Sam, man. That's my guy.
Yeah, he's funny as hell, man. He's funny as hell. Yeah. He's working hard at the gym.
Yeah, he is.
Nice. Hell yeah, I seen him put up over 300 the other day.
Yeah, that's a big man. He ought to be able to breathe that off of him.
Nice, bud. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, man. Take it easy, and God bless. And Boomer Sooner.
Yes, sir. Boomer Sooner. We'll see.
All right, buddy.